Hi, I'm Dr. Christian Conte, and in this video, I want to talk to you about unseen pain. Look, we have all in our lives been suffering in ways internally that other people couldn't see. And maybe that suffering caused us to lash out at people or hurt people or say or do things that we later regretted. But the reality is that when other people hurt you, they're also going through some perhaps unseen pain. What I believe is when you can learn to see the pain, see the things that others are struggling with, it will change how you approach them. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone's in a full body cast. You're not going to go up to that person and expect that person to run a marathon with you that day while they're in a full body cast. And the reason is when you see the physical pain they're in, your empathy and understanding rises. But here's the thing. I work in the realm of psychology, right? So when people are struggling, that suffering that's happening in the psychological realm is an invisible pain, but it's a pain all the same. And so even though you can't see the psychological pain that people are experiencing, it doesn't mean that they're not experiencing it. For example, let's think about anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress. Let's think about organic brain disease or traumatic brain injuries. There are so many things that go on internally that we can't see. And maybe we can see symptoms, right? We can see somebody who appears to be anxious or appears to be depressed, but we don't know the full extent of what's happening on the inside. And here's what I've found. After working for 2 decades in the field of psychology and working with thousands of people, I've learned 2 real profound lessons. And the first lesson is this: everyone in the world has a story. And the second lesson is this: there is always a reason why people do the things that they do. Now, I'm not excusing when people hurt others. I'm not excusing the times when people have hurt you. But what I do want to do is explain it. My job has never been to say, hey, there's an excuse for this. But there is an explanation and there's a difference. And when you understand that difference, it shifts things for you. Because if you could learn to see the invisible pain that others feel, I believe your empathy and understanding will rise. And again, when empathy and understanding rise, now you have a chance to approach people from a place of love and compassion. And it changes the conversation. It changes the dynamic of the interaction. So the next time someone says or does something that's hurtful to you, what I invite you to do is this: try to see the pain. Try to understand that if someone is in a place of complete peace, that person is not going to lash out and hurt you. Hurt only comes from a place of pain. My research has shown me a lot that people who live in shame, for instance, act out of shame. Or in other words, hurt people hurt. But what I want you to see is that life happens on a continuum. So I'm not saying that it's definitely this, so definitely that, but somewhere along that line in that continuum, people can be struggling. Let me give you the example of hunger. When we're hungry, our hunger is kind of seated in the middle of our emotional part of our brain. So when we feel hungry, it makes sense why we get a little emotional, why we get a little angry, and we might snap at someone. It's a small scale. They call it being hangry, right? I snap because I'm hungry. I'm not really aware of it. But imagine the myriad of things that could be going on environmentally, through experiences, psychologically, neurologically. There could be so many things happening in someone's life so that when they get to a point where they lash out and they say and do hurtful things, they're not doing it from a complete place of peace. And I think it's really important to recognize that. When you learn to see the invisible pain of others, it will increase your empathy, increase your understanding, and I believe it'll increase your love and compassion. I promise you one thing, it'll change the way you interact with those people that are hurtful to you, and I believe that it'll change in turn how they approach you. For everything that you do, I invite you to be mindful that everyone is struggling in some way. I wish you much peace.